What's going on, basketball fans and enthusiasts? This is Athletic Academics with another episode of the Mr. Basketball Reviews, Episode 2, Season 1 of the 2020 NBA off-season. If you like the videos, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of future video releases. Leave your thoughts and feedback in the comment section and share amongst others within the basketball community. You can also find me on social media via Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So, Episode 2 brings us to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to do an overview of what impacted the team this past season, as well as a review of their performance, a deep dive into their roster, as well as how the team looks financially, and then what moves they should consider this offseason to become more competitive next season, and thoughts on the outlook of their future. So to say the least, the Cavs have been having a pretty rough time since the second ending of the LeBron James era. This past season, they accumulated 19 wins on 46 losses, good enough for second worst team in the league, and it's the second consecutive time they've missed the playoffs since LeBron left at the end of the 2018 season. But we know there's more to a team than just their record. What actually did happen to the Cavs? Well, one thing that didn't happen was a Kevin Love trade. Rumors about a Love trade have happened since 2018 when he signed that 4-year, $120 million contract. He's on the end of his prime and is understandably looking to be on a team that can contend for a championship. But Cleveland can't find the right value they think he's worth in a trade right now. So until then, he's with the team. You also have the Tristan Thompson situation. Many thought the Cavs would be quick to re-sign him, but that's a little bit foggy now after they made the trade for Andre Drummond at the trade deadline. Now you have a guy who's been a core piece of your franchise, who's been a solid veteran and a great shoulder for these young players to lean on, about to possibly walk in free agency and the Cavs get nothing in return. And now the Cavs have to see if Andre Drummond is going to be their guy. Kind of tough because they got him for 2 expiring contracts they sent over to the Pistons, because the rest of the league didn't really want a player like Drummond, who many could say is a relic from an older time period in the NBA, even though he's only 27. When we look into the backcourt, it's clear that the whole Darius Garland-Collin Sexton experiment is going to need a lot of things to work right for it to work long-term. 2 smaller guards who have a score-first mentality that have a lot of growing pains to figure out. More on that later, though. But the elephant in the room is the John Beilein mishap. What the hell happened there? From all the leadership, the experience, and the accomplishments that he had at the University of Michigan, he lost the team's trust ultimately with the whole thugs comment. Didn't even last a whole year, and now I hear he's actually a professor back at the University of Michigan teaching a leadership class. How, my guy, how? Taking it back to the Cavaliers franchise, though, one challenge that they will always have is their appeal to major free agents. Even LeBron, who's in the debate of the best player of all time, had struggled to get people to come to Cleveland. Cleveland gets a lot of disrespect as a sports city. You don't know? Just ask Joakim Noah.
You like it? You think Cleveland's cool? I mean, I never heard anybody say, I'm going to Cleveland on vacation. I mean, what's so good about Cleveland?
The Cavaliers and their offense. 26th in the league with a 106.9 offensive rating. The story here is that I have no flow or even a plan to my offensive scheme. The Cavs struggle shooting the ball, I don't get enough shots up, my lack of playmaking at the guard position between Collin Sexton and Darius Garland has put a strain on my offensive potential. There's a glaring gap at the wing position for the Cavs, and one of my biggest issues is that I have the worst turnover rate in the league at 16.5 a game. So if I'm Cleveland, my first course of action is Darius Garland's improvement. The speed of the NBA clearly overwhelmed him. But let's not forget, Garland's pretty much playing in the NBA straight out of high school, because last year at Vanderbilt, he only played 4 games because of a meniscus tear, and he didn't play in the summer league. Next on my list is getting better playmaking from both Garland and Sexton. Sexton is a straight workhorse. He's improved his game and efficiency from his rookie season, but as I alluded to before, both him and Garland have to do a much better job at getting the team involved. The team only ranks in the 14th percentile in the league for pick and roll opportunities with the ball handler, and he only scored 37% of the time, which is 4th worst in the league. In these same opportunities, they turn it over 16% of the time, which is worse than the NBA. Better playmaking will also increase the catch and shoot opportunities, especially for Kevin Love, who averages about 8 points per game in this category on 43% shooting. I need to make his life easier. A happy Kevin Love is a happy Cavaliers team. And when Dylan Windler comes back from his season-ending injury, he will help a lot as well with the team shooting. I'm going to need more help in the wing position. The Cavs don't have that, so I either have to turn to the free agency market or I'm going to have to turn to the draft. As for the Andre Drummond era, offense has never been his thing, although he's a capable playmaker. He's been trying to stretch his game out to the three-point line like other centers like Channing Frye or Brook Lopez, but he's only shooting 14% for his career. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a long-term plan for him. So my defense, if I'm the Cavs, is just as bad. The worst defense in the league with a defensive rating at 114.8. Before the team acquired Drummond at the trade deadline, there wasn't many pieces on defense for this team. And the team could really use help from Drummond because they were tied dead last in the league for opponent points in the paint. Another big issue is that my backcourt of both Garland and Sexton is probably the worst defensive backcourt in the league. Part of this is due to inexperience, and they're not the biggest backcourt, but I need them to be better. So what would be my main focus for the Cavs defense? Well, we know they answered the big one with the acquisition of Drummond. I'll point out his defensive versatility first. Did you know that Drummond was third in the league in steals per game at 1.9? He has a very good ability to switch on the guards if put in the pick and roll situation. Another fun fact, Drummond has the third best defensive rating in the league for active players, behind Dwight Howard and Kawhi Leonard, and he's 45th all time. On top of that, he's a pretty solid team defender. He'll help on the weak side often. My second main area of focus. I can't keep turning the ball over on offense. Opposing teams were scoring 14 points per game off Colin Sexton's turnovers, which was second worst in the NBA. Mind you, Tristan Thompson was also third worst in the league for turnovers, and Kevin Love is 10th worst, and Garland was 12th worst. All for players who played 20 minutes or more in a game. I think we talked enough about the backcourt, but one more piece, Sexton was 5th worst in the league in defensive rating for players who played also 15 minutes a game. And we've already covered the gaps in the wing position. How does the Cavaliers roster look this offseason? Andre Drummond has a $28 million player option that we know he's going to opt into, and for that reason, I'm probably going to lose Tristan Thompson. Dellavedova is also a free agent, but I'm probably going to keep him because of his intangibles and veteranship. He can help the young guys grow. Ante Zizic left the league, and now he's playing over in Israel for Maccabi Tel Aviv, and I'll probably bring back Dean Wade. But my big focus will more than likely be, can I move Kevin Love? My thoughts are he'll more than likely be with the Cavs next season, but the Cavs will at least try to move him this offseason. What are the Cavaliers looking like financially? Well, we know the league salary cap won't increase because of the global you-know-what. For next season, the Cavs have 12 players under contract for about $111 million, about $1.4 million in dead money, just shy of $69 million in player salary cap holds. And since the Cavs are over the league salary cap maximum, their salary cap holds won't count to the total team salary allocations, which puts them at $112 million or $3.4 million over the league salary cap, which puts them 6th in the league. In regards to how they compare to the team luxury tax threshold, which the league set just above $132 million for teams, the 12 players that they have contracted so far that meet that $112 million that we said earlier, thankfully leave some space to play with in free agency. About $20 million to be exact, which puts them 18th in the NBA. And if I am playing in the free agency market this summer, I'm trying to fill the hole in the wing position. Defense is my focus, and I want to do it affordably. That brings me to Rondé Hollis-Jefferson. Right now, his playing time on the Raptors is buried behind Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby, but he's a reliable and versatile defender, has a great motor, and he's a great rebounder. He'll help cover the shortfalls of Colin Sexton and Darius Garland on the defensive end, give the team some extra possessions on offense from his offensive rebounding skills, and he'll get more playing time to show his potential. My main drawback with him is his shooting, though. He is not a great shooter, and he doesn't help the Cavs with that issue either. But to me, he's worth the risk because he helps me in the areas that I need it most on defense. Now, if I really want to shoot for the sky and put more focus to my offense, I'm going to go and look at Danilo Gallinari. When he decided to play in the Orlando bubble during his contract year, he got big props and respect around the league. People would have understood if he decided to sit out. Danilo is a career 38% shooter from three. He'd help the Cavs with his floor spacing ability. He's very efficient in his shooting as well. Last year, he shot 54% on an effective field goal percentage. And although his assist numbers don't jump at you, he's a very capable passer, and he's a smart passer. As for my concerns, it's the injury history. In his total NBA career, he only broke 80 games once, and he only played above 70 games twice. He's not a great defender by any means, and going back to the injury, he tore his ACL a few years back, and it's without a doubt taken away from his speed and athleticism. Danilo may not want to go to the Cavs though. He's an older seasoned vet that's looking to win a championship, and being a part of a rebuild, regardless of the money, is probably not on his forefront of mind. But if I'm the Cavs, I'll try anyway. Now, I still have options to look at with the upcoming NBA draft. And this year, the Cavs only have one pick in the draft, which is their own, the 5th pick. If I'm the Cavs, I have 3 people I focus on. Devin Vassell for his 3-and-D capabilities, Isaac Okoro for his strength and athleticism and slashing ability, but my main focus for this team would be Deni Avdija. So Deni Avdija is a player that some hoops fans in the States may not know that much about. The Israeli 19-year-old stats may not stand out to you, but how they play the game in Europe is very different than how they play the game in the States. Deni brings a lot of skill to the table. He's a solid ball handler that loves to make plays for others. He's at his best when he's driving the ball, but he does have a capable three-point shot. His best asset may be his play in the transition though, but he operates very well in the half court as well. He's shown promise in his ability to create shots for himself, has an array of moves, and can get his shot off in the smallest of spaces. He's also very, very competitive. He could be another energy spark plug next to Colin Sexton to energize this team. He does bring some concerns though. He's a solid defender, but he's a better team defender. He doesn't have much strength yet, so I wouldn't put him against opposing power forwards. His speed, quickness, and athleticism are average. It's not going to jump off the radar to you. And one thing about Deni is that he's good at a lot of things, but he's not great at one individual thing. He's more of a jack-of-all-trades type of player. I've never liked the Luka Doncic comparison. Danny Granger, I guess. But I really like the Hedo Turkoglu comparisons. Hedo Turkoglu with the Dwight Howard-led Magic in the late 2000s was a problem. And if Deni can be that, he would help the Cavs a lot immensely. So what teams from the league's history can the Cavs learn from for some future inspiration? From a past team, I have a little bit of a stunner here, but the 2018-2019 Brooklyn Nets. That was a team that had a collection of some young players that many didn't have any expectations for. D'Angelo Russell was on this team after he was banished by Magic Johnson from the Lakers, somehow found himself after the team had a devastating injury with Karis LeVert that ended the season, and they powered through and somehow made the playoffs. On that team, almost 7 players averaged over double figures in scoring. And although I give a lot of credit to Kenny Atkinson, the players had to execute that play on the floor. For present-day teams, I'm looking at the Miami Heat. We all know them for their high-octane offense and their playmaking amongst all the players on the floor. Drummond can definitely learn some things from Bam Adebayo from playmaking, but I'm more about the culture of this team. Each player holds themselves accountable, and although the Cavs don't have Pat Riley staring down on them, the Heat built this type of culture over years. And hey, it's paid off with a finals appearance this past year that shocked the world. As for teams to avoid, just don't be what you were this past season. Hopefully Bickerstaff doesn't lead to the same issues that John Beilein had. The players will be in more of a better mood, and the strategies that we talked about will help the playmaking of this team. Hopefully the Drummond experiment really does work, because if not, the Cavaliers are probably going to be headed down this trend for a long time. So how will the Cavs look next season? In my projections, I got them 24 wins, 58 losses. Still the second worst team in the league, unfortunately, which means another miss to the playoffs. The East is getting more competitive. John Wall is back with the Wizards. Kevin Durant will make his debut from injury with the Nets. And the young Atlanta Hawks may make some noise. But the Cavaliers could prove me wrong. They could put these pieces together. Colin Sexton and Darius Garland may take another big step. There's a lot of what ifs, and I hope the Cavs can prove me wrong. And that'll do it. Episode 2 of the Mr. Basketball Reviews starring the Cleveland Cavaliers is in the books. I hope you enjoyed the video because there's more to come. Before you head out, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave your thoughts within the comment section below. And as always, share the love amongst anyone else that loves basketball. Also, add me on social media if you like. I'm going to continue to get better in that. It's not naturally me, but hey, got to get out your comfort zone, right? But thanks for the time. This is Athletic Academics, and I'll see you next time.